Welcome to the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast, where we unravel the mysteries of behavioral finance and unlock the secrets to making smarter, more informed decisions with your money. Now, here's your host, Dr. Bryan Foltice.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast. Yes, it's me, Bryan Foltice, and today we are going to unpack some what I find very interesting and scary findings on a U.S.-based survey on Americans' stance on the economy and how disconnected Americans are from actual information and reality, but then also provide some explanations as to why they're feeling so angry and disenchanted. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode. If you find, I'm not saying if you like what you're listening to today, but if you find what we're talking about today interesting, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to. It definitely helps with increasing the viewership and getting more real information out to individuals. So today we're unpacking this survey that came out from, where was this from? Harris poll from The Guardian, and showing that 55% of Americans believe that the economy is shrinking, and 56% believe that the U.S. is experiencing a recession. Yeah, I'm probably in that. What is a recession? 56% of Americans think that the U.S. is experiencing a recession. And so this poll has many misconceptions about the economy, and it's just showing, I'll give you a couple more examples. It's showing Americans' beliefs on the economy, what is actually happening, and we'll compare it to what's actually happening here in our economy over the last few years. And so anyway, we got 56% of the people in America believe that the economy is shrinking. 56 think that the U.S. is in a recession. GDP growth, that's how we officially calculate whether or not we're in a recession. And of course, we can debate what technically qualifies as a recession, but negative GDP growth for 6 months is generally a pretty robust definition of recession. We've experienced around 3% growth recently, demonstrating that the economy is actually growing over the last year or so. 49%, here's the second bullet point, 49% of Americans believe that the S&P 500 stock market index is down for the year. Although it is up and is experiencing all-time highs, it's up more than 12% this year, and the index actually went up by 24% back in 2023 last year. What the hell is going on there? Next, 49% of people believe that unemployment is at a 50-year high, although the BLS, so the Bureau of Labor Statistics, indicates that the unemployment rate is under 4% and has been for a number of quarters, and that is near a 50-year low. And so you have this total disjointedness of people's perception of the economy and what's actually happening in the economy. And of course, now we have this political divide where you have people who have this misconception. Many of them will blame our administration, or they want to pin it on Joe Biden for their woes, and say all this bad economic activity is happening. And so you have a good scapegoat to blame for all this bad information, or not this bad information, but all this bad perceived economic data. We also have people believing that the 72% indicated that inflation is still increasing, and We know that it peaked in the United States at 9.1% and now is around 3 to 4% these past quarters. So what is going on here? And obviously I get the sense here we've got a mass of people, and we're around half of U.S. people that were polled, up anywhere from 49 to 55%, just have no concept of what's going on. So how do you explain what's going on here? And if you're sitting here from the rest of the world, you probably want answers like what is going on with American voters and why are they so angry and what's going on here? Well, let's take this back now to how many U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck. And now that's where I've looked at a large assortment because I want to make sure, this is just one poll and we have to take it with a grain of salt. It might not be an all-encompassing, all-representative sample. But I do know that out of many different surveys asking how many people or households in the United States could cover a $400 expense, and the percentage is staggering. You would think this richest country and best time to be alive, it's anywhere from 55 to 78%, depending on the poll. So a majority of individuals are not able to come up with a $400 loan without putting it on credit. So it is very disturbing, and it covers many income levels. So it's not just low income level, it's all variations of income levels. But now bear with me here. If you don't have any savings and you're living paycheck to paycheck, that also stands to reason that you are not participating in the stock market. So if more than 50% of people are not participating in the stock market, how do they know what's actually going on? What's in it for them? They probably don't. And if they're getting information on their phones, they're probably being fed that they're not doing well financially because the market is not doing well or economic conditions are not doing well. That'll make them feel better. And so instead of saying, hey, what can I do to everything is really good, we've been in one of the best economic environments in a very long time, what can I do to get ahead because I'm not going anywhere? No. That's not going to get eyeballs. Eyeballs are going to get, hey, let's draw some anger at somebody else. Let's find somebody to pin this on or find some outlets to give excuses. And bad economic environment, if you're giving somebody who doesn't know any better, just give them that. They'll feel better about themselves and they'll continue to go down that path. So a lot of this is confirmation bias. So lack of participation in the stock market from individual investors can explain the fact that they don't know what's going on, and the most likely thing for them is it's bad, and so there's probably good reason that I'm away from it, and Joe Biden's keeping everything down, and everything's now really expensive. And so now there's this other component of inflation and interest rates. And what I've noticed here, when I started in finance back in 2007, this was right before the financial crisis, we could get money markets for 5.2%. So that just meant if you have $100,000 in sitting around in a money market, well, you can at least get $5,000 in just income without really putting it up for risk. You're just getting 5.2%. That would be $52,000. And then clearly, as soon as the interest rates went down to zero, we lived in a zero rate interest environment. So the ZIRP, zero interest rate. What is that? P. What is that? Damn it. Zero rate interest policy. Hi, there we go. The professor's back. Zero interest rate policy. ZIRP. And we've lived in that from 2008 all the way until recently here. So that was about 14 years where you could bank on whether you had your money in a checking account or in a money market account. You weren't getting anything. Fidelity would give you 0.01%, as I think is what they would post as their 7-day yield. Well, now that interest rates have increased, you can now get 5% on your money market. But guess what? if you have nothing to invest and anything that you have is just living paycheck to paycheck in your checking account, you're not getting any interest in checking accounts. And if you are, I don't know about it. I just know in my world, checking accounts, you don't get interest on that. You're just trying to avoid any monthly fees on that. Any money that you have set aside, put it away and put it in a high yield savings account or a money market to actually get some money. But if you're not participating in that, guess what? You probably still feel like inflation is happening, because even at 3 or 4%, you're going backwards in your purchasing power. You're not even breaking even or getting slightly ahead by participating in money markets and stock markets. You're going backwards. So it explains why they don't know what's going on with the market. They don't know what's going on with inflation, and they're just mad about it. And they're looking for a scapegoat. So we have some explanation around a lot of this. What else was there? Unemployment. This one scares me a little bit. So everybody is employed. Now, those who are on this bottom half, living paycheck to paycheck, haven't seen the pay increases. So once again, their environment is not improving, but things are still getting more expensive. And so there's this overarching theme of things are really bad, employment picture's bad, and there's no going up from there. But maybe if they elect a different official, then somebody will save them. And this is the whole rhetoric. And so when they're looking for information, they want somebody to tell them that things are bad and here's why. It's not you, it's somebody else. And then we can actually change, but things will get better if you find the alternative. So there's a lot of political motivation around keeping people misinformed around this. And so I'm not here to say like what's good, what's bad, what's right, wrong. I'm just connecting the dots. Here are some real reasons why Americans are just so disjointed from actual reality. And when you put them in their when you put yourself in their shoes financially, it starts making a lot more sense. But what I'm really concerned about here in the United States is if we do experience a recession, what happens if we get unemployment that's 8 to 10%? And we have the underlying understanding that 55 to 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Well, in my mind, that's propping up the real estate, the real estate market. And this is about as good as we're going to possibly get at this point. And it's just a matter of time before foreclosures start happening, to start the clock starting at 2 weeks after people start getting laid off, and start the foreclosure clock on when those will actually hit the market, because I don't see how they're going to come up with the funds for that. So that's what really concerns me from somebody who's sitting on the side who actually has assets and investments and can realize that, look, gross domestic product, it's not a hard and fast rule. Same thing with the unemployment rate. We could debate for a long time on the methodology of the unemployment rate. And I get that. And so sometimes we would even argue that the BLS, we could just eliminate the L out of the BLS and just call it BS. But nevertheless, even anything under 5% is considered by most people full employment. So we still give ourselves some wiggle room on that. Anyway, those are my concerns about this. And it is also showing that my concerns about how we are going to make decisions at the polls and how we are going to react when things actually do get bad. And so a little bit of concern, but at the end of the day, we're all just going to try to do our best, and we're going to try to bring things to light in a way that is not forceful, but just hopefully enlightening. And we'll leave it at that. So would love to hear what you have to say about this. And if I already made the FIRE community mad about my comments last time, we'll see what the hell this podcast does. But all in good spirits, I think. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well. And If you have any comments, would love to hear from you. Find me, I think, at bryanfoltice.com or on Instagram, Bryan Foltice, Facebook, Bryan Foltice, LinkedIn, Bryan Foltice, and TikTok, I think I'm going to be doing as well. So anyway, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast. We hope you found our exploration into the fascinating world of human behavior and finance both enlightening and thought-provoking. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And until next time, stay curious and financially savvy.